and welcome back to another video from HSTV, and in this video I will be discussing some of the options that you have if you have been rejected from medical school first time around. So as you will know, medicine applications are incredibly competitive, with only 41% of students getting in first time in the UK. So that means that over half of you will have been rejected, and I know that it seems like the end of the world just now, but I really do hope that this video can reassure you a little bit and hopefully give you a bit more confidence that this is not the end of the world and you still have plenty of time to become a doctor. So if you're new to the channel, hello, this is HSTV. I am a first year medical student at the University of Edinburgh, and I was recently in this situation when I'd applied that I didn't know whether I would be given an offer or not. And you know, there was people around me who were getting offers and people around me who were getting rejected. I was very lucky in that I did get in first time, but I had all my backup options planned out. So I just want to share some of those options with you guys just now, and I hope that it helps you a little bit. So the first thing I would advise you to do is to look back at your application and look at the specific parts that you think have brought your application down. So sometimes it may help to actually ask the university what thing made you get less marks or what kind of dragged your application down. And then you need to focus on that part to see, can it be improved for reapplying, and what options would you have after that. So I know that a lot of people will tell you this, but at this time you need to think practically rather than emotionally, even though that is quite a difficult thing to do, I understand. So if the grades part of your application you know was not good enough, then you have two options. The first option is you can wait for next year, so you can do your A-levels or your advanced hires. I'll be talking about the UK system specifically, and then you can see that if you get really good marks for A-level or for advanced hire, then you can perhaps reapply to the university with those grades, because A-level and advanced hires are more difficult, and therefore if you're getting good marks there, then it can show that you have been working hard. But that will vary on universities and what kind of entry requirements they would have for you, so you need to contact them. That's one option you have if your grades haven't been that good at GCSE or higher. The other option, if your grades haven't been so good, is to really apply as a graduate. So what that means is you go off and do another degree for 2, 3, 4 years, whatever, and then you come into medicine as a mature applicant, if that makes sense. And again, you can ask the university specifically, because different universities have different admissions criteria and you might be eligible for something here but not here. So do go and ask the universities that, and make sure that when you have applied to your UCAT universities, that you always have that fifth backup option that you can fall back on and that you can go and do as a degree and reapply into medicine if it comes to that. So let's say that your grades were fine, but your UCAT went quite horrendously. So the 4 UCAT parts and the SJT. So at Edinburgh, they mark the situational judgment and the other UCAT parts separately. So for example, if you're getting like a band 4, band 3 for SJT and you apply to Edinburgh, then it's most likely that your application will be dragged down. But with somewhere like Dundee or somewhere like Glasgow, where they just take UCAT as a whole, it might not mean so much in terms of the bigger picture. So if your UCAT has gone wrong, first of all, do be careful about who you apply to see if you would be an advantage here or there. And remember that for every year that you apply to medicine, you have to resit the UCAT. So if it is just a UCAT that you've messed up, you can go for that again the next year and just go ahead and reapply, because you'll have that bit more confidence, you'll have that more experience that you can use to your advantage, and it will really help you to get that higher UCAT score and higher SJT as well, and hopefully that should fix that part of the application. Okay, so let's say that your grades were fine, your UCAT was fine, which are two big hefty parts of the application, but let's say that you messed up a little bit on your personal statement. Well, personal statement is actually quite a variable thing again. So for example, at Edinburgh, they used to mark and score personal statements, but they don't score them anymore. So they kind of skim through them and read them, but it's nothing more than that. Whereas places like Dundee, they definitely do score them. So you need to, again, be quite wise and quite tactical about which unis you apply to and use their admissions criteria to your advantage. So for personal statements, that's something that can also be improved for a next year that you apply. Okay, so let's say that you have grades right, UCAT is fine, personal statement is pretty decent, but then you messed up at interviews. Now, interviews are really tricky. I always think to myself, if you can do medicine interviews, you can pretty much do any interview because they are very, very difficult and unpredictable, and they're very different to any other kind of interview that you see for university admissions. So that is something that you can also improve on for the next year that you apply, and you can do that through different courses. I've made videos on interview skills, and again, practicing that with your family members and friends is something that can be quite easily improved, but it just takes a bit of time to build up that confidence. And when you go into the admissions second time round, you will have that experience under your belt, and that is definitely something that's going to help you to score higher, but also feel quite confident in yourself as well. Because remember, if you don't get into medicine first time, that doesn't mean that you're not good enough. It just means that you had something a little bit here, a little bit there, and it's just little things that you need to tweak up on to get yourself up there, because medical school is really hard in itself, and the admissions is just kind of a snippet of what you're going to experience for the next 5 or 6 years of your degree. So it's really, can you handle that pressure, and can you handle that amount of workload, and then how can you transfer those skills into your medicine degree and onto your career as a doctor in the future. Okay, so then the question is raised as to when you should reapply. And in my opinion, there's 3 options that you have. The first option is to just reapply in the next round of admissions. So essentially, if you got rejected in February or March of 2021, you can reapply in October of 2021 to hopefully start your degree in 2022. And there's nothing to stop you reapplying. You would have to do UCAT again, and you would have to make sure that you've got the grades under your belt as well, to give you the maximum chance of getting into medicine. You would obviously have to do personal statement, maybe want to look at that again depending on how that went for you, and interview practice is something that you would get a bit more extra time for as well. The second option is to take a gap year. Maybe you want a year of just kind of reflection, a bit more work experience, a bit more voluntary. Perhaps you want to get a job to show your hardworking and motivation side on that side of things. Maybe you want a bit more time to practice UCAT, or even to practice interview skills. Stuff like that gives you a bit more extra time to look over your application and try and give it the best boost you can, and to reapply for the next cycle of admissions. And that's, again, completely up to you about how you feel. The third option for you is to go off and do a different degree and come into medicine as a mature or graduate applicant, but do note that that's going to have different entry requirements, and that's going to be a whole new other route on its own. So I think you might still have to do UCAT again, but the grade side of things is altered depending on how you do in your degree. So do ask the uni that, and get your information on that stuff there. But yeah. So I guess the gap year option and the applying to the next cycle of admissions option kind of overlaps in many ways, because it does give you that extra time to look over the parts of your application that didn't go so well. I guess with you reapplying straight away, you are obviously taking kind of a gap year because you're not in school anymore, but it's not really a gap year in that you don't have that extra amount of time, if that makes sense. So if you're going to do your A-level or advanced higher exams in June or May, and you're reapplying again in October, you've not really got a lot of time to work on UCAT again. And then again with interviews, I guess you would have that extra time and you might want to even get a job or something like that to show. But with the other gap year entry route, that's the one where you kind of miss a cycle of admissions and then reapply for the next ones. So it's all up to you when you apply, how you apply, and what parts of your application were needing to be better. So it really does depend on your personal circumstances and your individual application. Okay, so that's kind of the main things that most people would tell you. I do just want to tell you about 2 bonus things that might be relevant for some of you. So the first one is waiting lists. Sometimes your application is not quite good enough, but it's not horrible either. So the university might put you on a waiting list. I'm not too sure how that would work in terms of can you firm other university options or not. I'm not completely sure, so you would have to get in contact with the university yourself, but there could be a chance that you just have to wait a bit of a waiting game, and then maybe you, after getting rejected, can be going in for medicine for that same year. So again, that might be down to your university and if they do that sort of thing. And the second thing I just wanted to briefly talk about is what you should do if you have been offered a place at a medical school, but that's not the medical school that you wanted to go to. So in that case, first of all, do look at all the aspects. You know, in some cases, it's not great, I know that, but you also don't want to waste a medical school offer because that is quite a valuable thing. So do re-look at the city and the university and see maybe there is something that you do like about it. And remember that as part of medical school, there is a lot of moving around as well. So for example, work placements could be in other hospitals all over the UK. Even with intercalation degrees, there might be an opportunity to go and spend a year somewhere else in a different city at a different university doing a course. So don't straight away waste that medicine offer, but yet if it's something that's totally not for you, you know you definitely don't want to go there, then yeah, and that is again up to you if you want to reject that offer and reapply. And yeah, all down to you, but I just wanted to say that there might be an option for you to even get a transfer to a different uni as well halfway through your degree, something like that. For example, St Andrews, they do their first couple or 3 years at St Andrews, and then for the rest of your time you go to a different university. So do look at these kind of options, and a lot of the time the universities don't want you to transfer and they don't want you to leave them because they've chosen you to be their student, but in some exceptional circumstances that is possible. So do speak to universities about that and see if that is a possibility for you. Alright everyone, that is going to be the end of this video. I hope that this video has been useful for you. Do share it around if you know people who have a similar situation going on. I hope this has given you a bit of reassurance that there are many options available to you, especially in the UK. This is not the end of the world. Please don't put yourself down. There is a high possibility that you will end up as a doctor one way or another, and you know, as I said in the beginning, more than half of applicants don't get in first time. So if you have gotten in, like myself, you know, I would consider myself very lucky. I was very prepared to take a gap year or do other stuff. So, you know, that's just the way things are with medicine. Unfortunately, it is extremely competitive. So I hope that these options that I've told you about can help you guys. And as always, if you have any video suggestions, leave them in the comments. Follow me on the Instagram as well, and hopefully I can respond to any specific questions you may have. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.